What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on the 11.2 PTR. We are going to be taking a look at actually probably my two favorite set bonuses so far this expansion, and yep, I mean two. So we have a set bonus unique to Templar and a set bonus unique to Herald of the Sun. The first thing that I want to talk about is how I feel like the set bonuses are on face value, and then the second thing I'll talk about is the bugs with both, because both are pretty much kind of broken on the PTR at the moment. The first one I'll go over is actually the Templar bonus, and this one is my favorite bonus so far. So the first part, the two set, which unfortunately for PvP doesn't really do too much for us since we don't build crit. Your Empyrean Hammers deal 20% increased critical strike damage, and its critical strikes have a 50% chance to grant an additional stack of Light's Deliverance. I would really hope that maybe the two set is changed at some point, maybe just lowering the overall amount required of Light's Deliverance stacks to get that free Hammer of Light. I know that would be kind of, I don't know, maybe really strong in PvE, but currently Templar is pretty much useless in PvP, and just making it less RNG to get those additional stacks would be super appreciated. Each set bonus also in Season 3 now that we're going to be in is nerfed by, I believe, 2/3 in PvP combat, so it's only 1/3 effective. I'm not sure if that means that is going to occupy the chance to grant the additional Light's Deliverance stacks or the actual Empyrean Hammer damage itself. It's really funny because Empyrean Hammers are a very low percentage point of your overall damage breakdown. So the two set for Templar, for PvP at least, is going to be incredibly weak. However, the four set seems to be pretty good. So we'll have something like around, you know, my guess is probably around like an 11.5 percentage point. It's probably going to round up to 12, at least hopefully round up to 12% damage increase to Hammer of Light on the primary target. And then I'm assuming that it will still hit the additional 3 secondary targets and be cast one more time after Wake of Ashes. Now, what this does is when you push Wake of Ashes, you actually see a buff now in the top right hand corner of your screen. It says Hammer of Light. It's pretty cool. Makes it a lot easier to track. Previously, there was no like countdown timer available. You'd have to get a weak ore to track however long you had remaining to push the Hammer of Lights. Well, now there's a buff that you can just look at, and you see the stack is at 2 currently. That is because we have the 4 set, meaning that we can use Hammer of Light twice within that window. Pretty neat. Where this set bonus is currently broken is potentially in actually more than one spot. So if you have at least the 2 set equipped, so just the 2 set, you know, also the 4 set if you're running the 4 set, but just the 2 set, there is a very specific bug with Zealous Vindication. So your Hammer of Lights will call down 0 to 3 Empyrean Hammers rather than a guaranteed 5 Empyrean Hammer every single time. So, you know, in a perfect burst go setup, and I'll show an example right now, you have 3 stacks of the buff that I just displayed of your Hammer of Light buff. You have your Wake of Ashes usage, which, you know, counts as 2 usages, and then you have your Light's Deliverance proc. So you can hit 3 back-to-back-to-back Hammer of Lights. Well, that only gives 9 Light's Deliverance stacks, and it should be significantly more. For starters, it should be at least 15, but then you have to account for the couple seconds that Shake the Heavens is up while you are dropping your hammers, and it looks like no additional hammers are being dropped during the duration for Shake the Heavens either. So I'm not sure if there's a problem with more than just Zealous Vindication, if it's Shake the Heavens as well, but it stems from having at least the 2 set bonus from the Season 3 gear attached here. Couple more things I'll talk about regarding Templar in Season 3 is, although this bonus seems like it could be really good, very strong, a lot of things are hitting a lot harder than Hammer of Light on the PTR. For example, Frost DKs. Templar is kind of built around having that bursty go, but in PvP right now, the primary reason it's not is it just doesn't deal enough damage. And I feel like even having 2 stacks, dealing 10% additional damage each is still probably not going to be enough to buff it up to the level of damage that it needs to be in order to pass Herald of the Sun, because Herald of the Sun is also getting a really strong set bonus. Now, Herald of the Sun set bonus is even more, unfortunately, broken than the Templar bonus, because, you know, with the Templar bonus, at least you can still use the Hammer of Lights, but your actual generation of Lights Deliverance stacks is significantly slowed down from live because of whatever's been going on with not just Zealous of Vindication, but Shake the Hammers and regular Empyrean hammer damage in general. And let me, just before I jump into Herald of the Sun, let me touch on another thing. So we have a number of modifiers to Empyrean Hammer. Now, Empyrean Hammer can be modified by Sanctification, Penitence, and Burn to Ash. And currently, it's these spells that modify your Empyrean Hammer aren't modifying it to the correct value. So there's only about a difference of about 30,000 damage. Yeah, 30k. And in the next PvP season, we have something like 17 million HP. I don't have all the proper gear here, but yeah, we have very, very, very high HP. So Empyrean Hammer is dealing about 155k to 190k damage. Feels incredibly undertuned, like incredibly, incredibly undertuned. Dawnlight ticks can tick for 1 million now. So something probably has to be massively buffed in PvP combat for Empyrean Hammers to be worth using, or for Templar to be worth using ever. But, you know, before any sort of buffs even come into the ability, these spells here need to properly modify the spell, because they don't. Like, you'll get a fraction of the percentage of damage increase that you're supposed to get through these 3 talents. All right, so let's talk about Herald of the Sun now. Now, Herald of the Sun has a really cool set bonus as well. And what this set bonus does is it pretty much amplifies what Herald of the Sun already does well, which is consistent high pressure. You just have it over a longer duration. So if we take a look at the 2 set here, Dawnlight's healing damage is increased by 30%, and you gain Solar Wrath after your wings ends, casting Sun's Avatar for an additional 5 seconds. That's a really strong 2-set bonus. Sun's Avatar does a lot of damage. Dawnlight does a lot of damage. This set bonus, at least early Season 3, will be really strong. Aside from the fact that this will most likely turn out to be a 10% damage increase, just the fact that we get 5 additional seconds of Sun's Avatar after wings ends is fantastic. And then the 4-set bonus here, Solar Wrath, increases the effectiveness of your Holy Power spenders by 15% and grants you an additional Dawnlight. So that means after your wings end, you get like 1 more application of Dawnlight. Feels really nice. In PvP, again, it's only going to be a third effective, so it's going to deal 5% increased damage for your Holy Power spenders. But, you know, it is what it is. Sounds really good. Pretty cool. Now here's the unfortunate news. So you guys remember the initial Herald of the Sun Dawnlight bugs from Season 2? Well, they're back in the form of the set bonus. And I'm going to show you guys on the screen real quick what's going on. So if you are running Radiant Glory, which pretty much everyone is running Radiant Glory, and I'm assuming this probably happens for both Crusade and Avenging Wrath. I only tested for Avenging Wrath. You get a proc of wings that procs a Dawnlight on your target, which procs a Sun's Avatar for the duration, which follows up with a Solar Wrath. Now that Solar Wrath effect, if you have Wake of Ashes come off cooldown during that Solar Wrath effect and you use it, it will cancel out your Sun's Avatar, and despite you applying more Dawnlights to the target, you will not trigger a Sun's Avatar from your Radiant Glory, Wake of Ashes, Avenging Wrath wings, and the following Solar Wrath miniature wings, I suppose, because it does have a very small animation of a miniature wings. It also does not channel Sun's Avatar at all. So if you unfortunately have that that bug pop up, then your set bonus is complete. Not only is your set bonus worthless, it's actually taking away a massive chunk of your damage, which is Sun's Avatar. So I'm really hoping that this can get fixed before release. Otherwise, Herald of the Sun will not even run their set bonus in PvE. It's that big of a deal, because you know you're proccing Radiant Glories roughly every 30 seconds or so. And for me, the proc happens typically just about as Wake of Ashes comes off cooldown, which means you're going to be having to hold off of your Wake of Ashes every single time that you get that proc, instead of just sending it right away and stacking up your Dawn Lights on your target or spreading your Dawn Lights throughout other targets. It's just not good. It's just not good. So here's to hoping Blizzard can fix that bug as soon as possible. All right, now I'm going to talk about, you know, a world without bugs, how I feel like the set bonuses would stack up against each other in PvP combat. Herald of the Sun has shown itself to be, you know, a pretty big step up from Templar in Season 2, mostly because of tuning, but also because of ease of use. Also because a massive increase in HP and a slowdown of one-shots, especially from Ret Paladins, not necessarily other classes. I would love it in you know, have there be a world out there where both Herald and Templar are viable. I feel like I'm not going to be able to rule out Templar until I get actual PvP testing with 2 charges of Hammer of Light, because if you guys remember, from the beginning of the expansion, we had about half a week or so, maybe a little bit over half a week or so, of having Hammer of Light when you used Wake of Ashes, just be able to hit as many Hammer of Lights into a 12-second window as you could, as long as you generate the Holy Power. That playstyle felt really good and very fun. And the set bonus, the 4-set bonus of Season 3 is kind of reminiscent of that in a way, because there are scenarios where you can get 3 hammers out. But you have to remember, there are a lot of bugs, and there are also a lot of PvP modifiers on the spells. So it could turn out to be incredibly weak in PvP, and then we just roll with the 4-set for Herald of the Sun no matter what. But in the world where the Herald of the Sun bug is not fixed with the 4-set, or I'm sorry, with the 2-set, then we would play Templar with the 4-set. So we'd play 2-set Herald of the Sun early season, swap over 4-set Templar. But we'll see how this goes. We'll also see if Blizzard decides to make any changes. I think the 2-set for Templar is really bad in PvP. Unsure how it is in PvE. But the 2-set, especially if it's nerfed in PvP combat, is going to be incredibly weak. Empyrean Hammers are incredibly weak. And I do think there needs to be a PvP modifier buff specifically on Empyrean Hammers, in addition to a second look at how these talents are actually modifying the spell, because they're not increasing the damage as much as they should on paper. But yeah, I think, you know, side note, I think we have the coolest looking gear of the expansion so far in terms of the PvP gear. I'm a huge fan of, you know, both the PvE and PvP variants of the gear. The Gladiator gear looks really cool. The Elite gear, I think, is the best, or at least, you know, it's subjective, but it's my favorite of all the new Season 3 gear. We do have the PvE versions, and I do really like the Mythic version as well. Probably not enough to drag me into PvE. But the Raid Finder, don't really like the color scheme too much. The normal, I really like the normal color scheme. Very typical, stereotypical Paladin. Heroic kind of reminds me of, I believe, Warrior Gear Season 2 of Dragonflight, something like that, the Elite set, but still looks pretty cool. I really like a lot of the sets, which is really cool, because guess what? I have almost every class leveled, so I'll probably collect the gear one way or another. But again, this gear, super happy with it. Looks really cool. I wonder what the Elite, the like 2400 little flame things will look like. And the weapons look really cool as well. All right, all in all, pretty happy with both set bonuses. We'll take another look, another deep dive into each when and if the bugs are fixed, and hopefully we see an increase in PvP talents to Ret Paladin, because we're a little sparse here on engaging, fun, and even powerful talents. Like, we really just have Sanctuary at a minute cooldown, Spell Bop, which is situational, and then everything else is pretty meh. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you all. Thanks for sticking around during my break, and I will see everyone next time. Peace.